to basically try and get the public's help in trying to locate a couple of wanted felons that we have and a couple of homicides. I want to first talk about what happens in the beginning of a violent crime, or specifically a homicide. Everyone knows that the best success is to be able to get a suspect identified and be able to solve the crime within the first 48 hours. Statistics will tell you that you have the best chance of being able to solve that crime. Not often does it happen like that. Those are textbook cases that we do have at some time, but oftentimes it takes long hours of work afterward, sometimes months, sometimes even years. In the eyes, in these particular two cases that we're looking at are considered cold cases in the eyes of law enforcement, because one is just under a year old and one is just over a year old. But in every case where we have a violent crime, certainly any homicide, we work in collaboration with the state attorney's office. We work collaborating evidence, documenting evidence, and collaborating witness testimony, working towards a probable cause where we can have a successful prosecution for the justice for those family members of the victims. First, I want to go ahead and introduce our distinguished state attorney for the First Judicial Circuit, Ginger Madden, and she has some staff members.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here, Sheriff. Again, I just want to acknowledge what a tremendous relationship that we have established with the Sheriff's Department in solving some of these crimes. Again, just over a year old, just under a year old. We work always in collaboration, regardless of the age of the case, to bring justice to the victims and to their families. Here in Okaloosa County, I'm very privileged to have as my chief Greg Ankers, and one of my assistant state attorneys, special prosecutors, Michelle Sandler, who will be assigned to prosecuting this case. We have committed ourselves and our office to continuing to assist the Sheriff's Department in the ongoing investigation, and we look forward to bringing these charges into the courtroom where we can get a successful resolution for the family of these victims. Thank you.
And we would have to fill the stage up. Some of you are in the audience that worked on these cases. We would have to fill the stage up and then some, with everybody from crime scene investigations, our partners with FDLE that help analyze evidence. But we have three of our team members here. We have Captain Dave Allen, who's our chief investigator. We have Investigator Robbie Naylor, Investigator Kelly Henderson, that were active in a couple of these cases. But it's a collaboration on everybody, multiple agencies when it comes to solving these crimes. The first one we're going to touch on is Nancy Schreiner. She was just a victim in the wrong place at the wrong time. February 9th, 2021, deputies responded to the area of Shirley and Marlar over off of Lovejoy Road in the Mary Esther Fort Walton Beach area. Law enforcement found Mrs. Schreiner deceased from a gunshot wound to the chest. We also recovered 73 shell casings from that location. She was not the intended target. The intended target fled and was not injured. There were 9mm shells recovered, 5.56 shells recovered, 7.62 and 40 caliber shell casings, all recovered from the scene, to total 73 shell casings. We used a lot of surveillance cameras and other things to be able to put the pieces together. We don't get a lot of cooperation oftentimes in cases like this, and this is no exception. We had absolutely no witness testimony. We did have innocent victims that were in their homes when the gunfire erupted. We actually had in-home videos that were beneficial in us connecting the dots on the exact time and location of the shots, because they were having bullets entering their homes where their children were in there playing and watching television, and you can see them on their video diving onto the floor to try and seek safety. Again, this lady was just walking down the street and took one of those rounds that ultimately ended in her demise. So after a year of collaboration and working diligently to try and seek justice for this family, we were able to piece together enough probable cause to have warrants for 3 individuals: Trevante McLaughlin, Jacob Gabani, and Tavion Morris. Those were the 3 shooters identified that we got probable cause on. We were able to arrest one yesterday. We arrested Trevante McLaughlin in Crestview yesterday, but we are still searching for The other two, Gabani and Morris, and we would love any cooperation that you have. You can call the 609-2000, 850-609-2000, our investigations number, or P3 Tips is a mobile app that Crime Stoppers uses. It's about 80% of their tips come in on that, and there's could be a substantial reward for you being able to have information to the whereabouts of the other remaining two individuals. Jacob Raphael Gabani and Tavion Dontrell Morris are the two remaining suspects. They are considered armed and dangerous, and you know, anything on their whereabouts, we would greatly appreciate your help in finding them, and I know the family would too. Second case, Ernest Riggs homicide. This is a case that started back in March 17, 2021, so just under a year ago. This individual and I grew up together. We went to school together, we played ball together, and my memory of him, nice guy, hardworking guy. He did concrete work, and I believe, personally it's our belief, that he was set up. The only information we have is that it was a ruse to have him show up on scene. It was believed that he might have some money on him, large sums of money. Everybody knows in that labor work there's a lot of cash transactions, and so we don't have a known for sure motive on this, but that's what we believe, that he was set up. That night he was lured to an area off of Racetrack Road on 932 Vincent Lane, where he was later found deceased. The suspect had a good description. We did have a good description of the suspect leaving the scene. Again, almost a year later, we were able to put enough evidence together to be able to get a warrant for John Galvo Saeed. And I may not be saying that exactly right, but his picture is here. And he is fled the area ever since the incident and has not been seen in the area, but what we do know is that he purchased a burner phone. Most of you probably know what a burner phone, purchased a phone at Walmart. The only phone number that called that phone to set it up was our suspect's phone, his actual personal phone that used to set up the burner phone. The burner phone was used to make the transactions to reach Mr. Riggs and set up the fake meeting for the concrete work that was supposed to be done, where he ultimately met his demise. So any information that you have on his whereabouts, he's believed to be armed and dangerous. You know, a lot of people ask me all the time, and ask many of our staff, you know, what can we do for you? What can we do at the sheriff's office? Well, what we can do is you can help us. You know, oftentimes we don't get corroboration or even witness testimony. We even have victims. I don't understand this. I've often said, you shoot me, I'm telling on you. You know, I mean, that's my rule. And I just don't understand the rationale. You get shot and you're just not going to tell anybody. I've had people on their deathbed that just decide they're not going to tell us. I mean, that you know we do our job. And we have open cases besides these cases. We have open cases where we have victims that are known drug dealers, known gang members, known violent felons, and I can assure you that these people on this stage and the people in this audience are working just as diligently to bring justice to their families, no matter who they are and what their past is. So, but we need your help. We need your help in this particular case. We need your help. You may not know them, but you may know somebody that knows these individuals that we are looking for, and any information that will help us be able to get them to brought and put behind bars, we greatly appreciate it. That's really all I have. I'm open to questions. Some of them I may not be able to answer, but I'm sure someone on this stage or myself can answer. So if you have any questions, feel free.
Are there any locations where any of the remaining suspects at large might have connections, or where you think they might be located?
Is it cool to say, or?
Yeah.
I mean, you do have to realize some of these cases are still open investigations, even though we have warrants. But yeah, we do believe that Mr. Galvo Saab in Mr. Riggs' case is probably in the California area, and we are actively searching these areas that we do have tips on, and the U.S. Marshals have been a great resource for us. We've had a good partnership with them in the past. and we work with them on the Fugitive Task Force side. So they've got a lot of good tools. You know, obviously we're somewhat limited as to what we can do here, outside of the local area, but that's when we rely on our partners such as the U.S. Marshals to try and help us.
You mentioned that Mr. Saeed could be in the California area. Could you kind of explain the process of, I'm sure the law enforcement out there knows about this. Could you explain how that process works? And is Mr. Riggs cooperating? I don't know if you alluded to that in your previous statement.
Mr. Riggs is deceased.
Oh, my fault.
Yeah, no, Mr. Riggs is deceased, so the actual suspect in that particular case, when it comes to, no matter where they're at, if they're in California, we're working with federal partners, we give them, kind of like a referral, I guess I should say, we give them a referral package, and it gives them all the information, everything that we have on this side, we kind of spoon feed them that information, and then we do the same for them. I mean, we catch people all the time for another agency. It may be out of Alabama, maybe Tennessee, but maybe from California. They do the same for us. They reciprocate the efforts, and they put all of their resources together. The U.S. Marshals in particular, they work with a lot of local agencies that have local knowledge. The U.S. Marshals work with us as well when we have local knowledge of a certain individual, where they might be. So we all partner together to try and apprehend that individual. I hope that answers. Anything else? All right. Well, thank y'all for being here. I appreciate you showcasing this. We've got another one we'll be scheduling here in a week or so. Thank you.